All right, welcome everyone to our info webinar on our manufacturing bootcamp that's going to begin next week. I'm here with John Dahlgren, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, I'm John Dahlgren. I'm a teacher and a trainer with Butte College. Before that, I was a longtime manufacturing professional, worked in lots of different places, locally and regionally over the years. So my hope is that I can bring some of those experiences and some of the things that I know to help guide you through this boot camp and create some opportunity for you.
My name is Liz Pinkhurst, and I'm the project coordinator of the Grow Manufacturing Initiative. We're located here in Chico, but we serve a lot of counties in the North State. We have Hope Seth, she's the Shasta GMI coordinator, and then John Schmidt, who's a regional director of the Far North Employer Engagement, also a Shasta. And with all of those words, basically what it means is we just support manufacturing in the North State, and we want to help connect employees and employers and continue to grow our economy around manufacturing. And I'll go ahead and shut off my audio, but I'll turn it back on as we continue.
Okay. All right, so what we're here to really give you is kind of a glimpse of what this manufacturing boot camp is all about. And you know, my hope, certainly from my introduction, is that, you know, number one, I'm not here working for the Employment Development Department. I'm here in support of and passionate about manufacturing and trying to connect opportunities with local employers in a way that really serves your interest, because you're coming in and being availing yourself of this kind of opportunity really is already a step towards success in terms of entry-level opportunities in manufacturing. So we really don't have a particular need or background that we're looking for. What we're really trying to do is give you a leg up competitively to kind of create the means to get on the same page and develop skills and enhance skills that you may already have. And what's the payoff? What is this all about? You know, the whole idea of this is that there are entry-level opportunities in manufacturing. And, you know, I say entry-level, but it's really the first step of potentially very long, very satisfying careers in manufacturing. I was 25 years in industry, in various manufacturing and other capacities in my career. And, you know, other than hearing the call to come into teaching and training, I'd still be there today. I found it to be a very satisfying life. And we're hoping that through introduction in this boot camp opportunity, you will as well. And as I said, the payoff, the opportunity here is to really kind of talk to you, show you, and help you understand that, you know, the opportunities in manufacturing of a starting wage of $13 to $18 an hour, benefit packages that are career oriented in healthcare, 401k, life insurance, the consistent work schedule that a manufacturing environment can provide. One of the things that I like to always remind people is that typically manufacturing is under a roof and in an environment where I don't have to worry about getting wet in the winter and I don't have to worry about getting sunburn in the summertime. But that's, you know, that's appealing to me. The other thing that has always time-tested opportunity in manufacturing has been that employers really do believe in working with employees on a long-term basis, creating scholarship opportunities, paid trainings. So it's a continuous learning type of environment. And the types of employers that we're talking about here include companies like Tink Manufacturing, Norfield, Knopf, Sierra Pacific Industries, Fifth Sun, Transfer Flow, Weiss McNair. And again, these are companies you may have heard of and may not have ever thought would be a career opportunity for you. And that's really the bridge that we're trying to create here with the boot camp opportunity. some of the example jobs and titles that we might be looking at, in terms of entry level things would be production associate, maybe working in an assembly environment, maybe operating a machine, painting environments, maybe it's doing paint and prep, inventory, where you may be working in warehousing, where the opportunity then to sort and direct product flow is going to be a part of your job task. And the point is that regardless of where you're coming from in background, and some of you may be displaced workers coming from other areas and other industries. Maybe you're coming from the food industry. One of the things that I always like to remind employers about is that food industry workers are great production workers, because that production mindset is often already embodied in the work that you do in the food industry. So, the idea of being prepared, having your workflow working in such a way that it's efficiently coming out from the pass into the environment from a customer standpoint, that is all oriented in the same way, maybe just different words and different vocabulary, as what we would expect to see in manufacturing. So, using that as our kind of our springboard, as I said, my role in this is kind of your guide and your shepherd through this boot camp, is to really learn about what you have in terms of background, and then try and translate the application of your background into things that you would experience in manufacturing. So Liz, let's go to the next slide. So what are we talking about here? What's the opportunity that you're thinking strongly of participating in next week? This is going to be 40 hours of in-class, hands-on, and by hands-on, I mean as much as we can possibly do in a virtual environment, skill building. And, like anything else in any New Year's resolution, you come in to 2021 and you say, yeah, I'm going to break that habit, or I'm going to get in shape. It requires skill building. It requires working with the muscles that maybe we haven't worked with in a while. So I know it sounds cliche, but that's really what we're talking about here, is that the skill building is building that muscle towards manufacturing so that you're ready for an opportunity to have an interview, and you have built the confidence to be feeling good that you have an idea of what's expected in that interview. So no experience necessary, learning the basics and really using that as kind of your entry point to feel that confidence, so that as you are given an opportunity to show what those skills might look like in a conversation with a human resources professional, you're speaking the same language. And so much of the success, as I really try to remind people all the time, 50 to 60% of your success in any job comes from speaking the same language. Are you using the words that are being used in the environment? And as importantly, are you hearing the words with understanding to know what's expected of you? So Liz, let's go to the next slide. So here's and I'm going to go into some detail here about what you can expect and what's this all about? When you say 40 hours, what are you really taking me through? So you see that there's 7 items on this list. Well, the first thing I can tell you is that it's not going to be 1 through 7, cover number 1, make it go away, all the way down to number 7, make it go away. We're going to be covering these 7 items kind of in a loop and a continuous community building process. And whether there's a couple of you that are attending the boot camp, or whether there's an entire large group, really doesn't matter, because it's all about these 7 areas that we've identified will best develop those skills for your success. So the first one on the list is general communication. Like I said, it comes down to, am I comfortable? Am I up to speed? Am I practiced? Many employers will have you come in, quote unquote, maybe that's through a job site like Indeed.com, or maybe it's through their website directly, and they have you um, give them a resume and a cover letter. Send it to this email address. That's great. It took a lot for you to develop that resume. It took a lot for you to develop that cover letter. But guess what? When you onboard and you become a part of the company culture when you're hired, then it's down to filling out forms, complying with information and information flow. So that general communication, what to expect, how to expect, is going to be kind of our backdrop. And that's why I put it as number one on the list, because there are expectations. And so that expectation of you as a potential employee begins with the communication in written form, online, typing in your information into forms, adding information, emailing. So a lot of that is going to be a big part of what we're going to do overall throughout the week. The next item on the list, but not in a second position to any other, is safety. And so every work environment is very much in tune, concerned with an added amount of safety, as we all know, with COVID-19 and what's happening in the pandemic. But let's just make sure we agree that safety has always been number one. Safety will always come first on the list, because your best opportunity for continued employment in a healthy way is to stay safe. So when a safety awareness aspect of this is going to come into play is throughout to understand what's expected of you with personal protective equipment and understanding what that means. Different environments have different requirements, things like safety glasses, earplugs, closed-toed shoes, a full set of trousers to wear. In other words, coming into a work environment in manufacturing where we're just kind of casual and wearing flip-flops and shorts isn't really what's expected. What's expected is you're ready to go to work with a set of closed-toed shoes and a set of trousers on, a work shirt with a sleeve length that's appropriate to the kind of activity that you're going to be doing. And all of that is going to be around this idea of personal protective equipment. But we need to kind of understand what you can expect and see in the work environment that is going to be shown to you in the form of the safe operation of a piece of equipment, the safe procedure and handling of things like utility knives and sharp instruments, things that are going to be of usual and customary use in manufacturing, but may not necessarily be something that you've used every single day. So I kind of talked about in the first item in the general communication. Well, most of our work environments today, regardless, are using a Windows-based environment in the form of computer and computer skills. So we're not going to turn anyone away when it comes to, oh, I don't have a Windows computer, I only have a phone, or I only have a pad device, or what have you. We get that. And there's been no greater opportunity to connect all of us than the idea that we have these tools like Zoom and Skype that are available to us with a phone. But we have to build that skill in a Windows-based environment so that we can very much have you up to speed with an expectation that when the employer is telling you in work instruction, okay, go to the start menu, go here, start this program, you need to access this spreadsheet, that you're capable and able to do that. Those are the kinds of things that are of extreme importance and expectation for success in a manufacturing environment. And that includes email. And, although most of us are really well versed in using social media, putting in your comment into a particular stream or feed of somebody's in a timeline from a Facebook standpoint, probably isn't going to work for, sending out an email. So part of our getting used to the manufacturing environment will be in the form of communicating by email, even though we're going to occupy the same space. You're going to get some emails from me. You're going to get some links from me. You're going to get some website information and reference information from me. And that's expected. That's just usual and customary. So for a lot of us, this is probably just stuff you've already done. Well, great. Whatever you've been doing lately, maybe we're not as practiced as we were, a few months ago or before the pandemic hit. Some of you may be pivoting into a work change now that, you just haven't practiced those skills lately. So it's a great opportunity to not only build the skill if you haven't used it before or developed it, but it's also a great way to enhance the skill that you already have. Every manufacturing environment where we have job opportunities waiting for you in some way, shape, or form uses manufacturing prints to communicate what's required. What am I talking about? I'm talking about a need for an object in the form of a part or an assembly item to give you a sequence of instruction on how something comes together that is going to be given to you in a written and in a observable graphic form, a CAD drawing, computer aided design, computer aided drafting, a 3D model. But for the most part, you may be doing that type of work in a PDF format. What is a PDF format? Well, that's a portable document format that we are going to access. We're going to learn how to use Adobe Acrobat Reader, zoom in, zoom out, be able to look at a particular area like a title block and know what it's trying to tell us, decipher and decode information so that when you're confronted with those kinds of things in a work sense on day one, you're already ready to receive work instructions and training on the job because you're already very familiar with it. So we'll also learn about things like bills of material. So what is a BOM? What's a bill of material? Well, it's telling me how much of something I'm going to sequence and use at a particular time in order to assemble or manufacture a part or an assembly or some type of fabricated item to come together in a way that's going to meet the requirements. So like I said, prints, bills of material, really it doesn't matter whether we're talking about Fifth Sun and the manufacturing and screen printing of clothing product, or whether we're talking about a fabrication environment like Weiss McNair. There's an order in the form of a customer order, in a work order, in a specification that's going to be tracked and managed through the entire manufacturing continuum so that it's something that you're going to be following and expected to know what it says. We're going to study that. Something that we all learned at some point in time was how to read a tape measure, but not all of us do it every single day. Despite the fact that the last time I read a tape measure was this morning. That's me. I may have needed that for some reason, but we may not be using a tape measure every single day. I am anxious to teach you by just remembering and reminding that this is how we read a tape measure. And then take that down into more precision devices like calipers and gauges and micrometers, so that even if we don't have the instrument in front of us, we're also going to be using the opportunity to figure out how to read it in a virtual space so that we have the ability to say on day one, yes, I know how to read that micrometer. Yes, I know how to read all the way down to a 1/16 of an inch with my tape measure. And like I said, I don't mean to be in any way, shape, or form insulting to anyone coming in with extensive experience. If anything, I'll draw on your experience to help me be a teacher to help others in the environment. But the main thing is, let's make sure we're positioning you for success by knowing how to read a tape measure and a precision measuring device. And all of this, as I said, is around giving you a little bit of this and a little bit of that and kind of following a guide where you may not necessarily know what the overall map and plan looks like for the day, but I do. And that's very typical of what you might find from a manufacturing environment standpoint. There's a plan to your day, but it may not reveal itself until you get further into the day. So I'm going to try to keep it interesting. I'm going to try to keep it lively so that we don't find ourselves bogged down by this sense of, wow, this is just a classroom by another name. You're just, giving me all this stuff that's like teaching. Well, it kind of is, but keep it interesting so that it keeps it engaging for you. When we get to the last two items on the list, they're really not last. They're right up there in priority form because we're really talking about developing and exposing you to this idea of a production and quality mindset. And what does that mean? If you're coming from the food industry, you might already have a flow mindset, meaning what do I need to do to have my ingredients in a place where it's convenient to me within arm's reach? I know how to efficiently apply those ingredients. I already have a way to gauge what a tablespoon, a teaspoon, and the units of measure that are associated with it. I already have all that. But in a manufacturing environment, well, it's a different pass and it's a different mindset of the same kinds of actions that you're taking using different words. So that critical thinking, you're likely already an effective critical thinker, but we're going to be reminded of that. We'll probably do that in the form of some hands-on and kind of good activities that we can do in this kind of environment where it really doesn't matter whether we're in the same space or not. We're comfortable working with each other to solve some problems and understand in the bigger picture that quality isn't just whether or not we put a shine or a good finish on a particular item. It's really more about whether or not we met all of the requirements in a defect-free way, meaning we met the customer's expectations, no more, but no less, so that the customer knows what they're going to receive. You know what is expected to send. And we have developed a sense of shared understanding for quality in your product that you're producing from a manufacturing standpoint, as well as from a process standpoint. And lastly, like I said, everything I just described really fits into this idea of lean. So what does that mean? That means that when you or I go to Amazon and we go to check out something and we have something that we want to buy, we have an idea in mind of how much it should cost. And as that price may go up, our perception of what's necessary in features may also go up. But there's a point at which we say, yes, that's what I want to pay. And I'm willing to pay for that because that's the device or that's the item that I'm looking for to meet my needs. I don't pay for, as a customer, all of the rework that may have been associated with having that product assembled, taken apart, reassembled, taken apart again, and reassembled maybe for a third time to get it to work. The customer's not going to pay for that. The customer's only going to pay for what they actually receive. That's a lean concept. Manufacturing is based in a critical use of lean concepts to advance its manufacturing practices. No manufacturer wants to spend more in resources in your time and in material than the customer is willing to pay for. The ideal is zero waste and maximum value. That's what we're gonna learn a lot more about that, so that you now can speak the language of lean, even if the words are a little bit different in each manufacturing environment. You're going to get people to look at you and say, "Wow, I had no idea that you had an idea of what lean concepts are," and you can speak confidently to that. You can speak in a way that really is on the same page with your supervisor or with your lead. The other area, what we call human performance tools, is to develop some skills to identify and kind of follow procedurally what is expected and techniques to use to make sure that you are understanding and that you are being understood and that you are developing a sense of confidence to ask questions, because no one likes to be on the job and stand out to ask a question when you're uncomfortable. And really what that kind of boils down to is, well, I'm uncomfortable because I'm afraid if I ask a question, you're going to think I'm not as competent as I sold myself to be when I got the job. Now I have to be an expert. That's that's a myth. No one needs to be an expert on day one. No employer expects you to be an expert on day one unless they hired an expert. So that's an important point in this human performance and understanding your part in it. So that's really what we're talking about here in terms of the what I call the meat of the delivery and what you're going to experience next week. Let's go to the next slide, Liz. And so the environment, as I've talked about, it's virtual. Yes, it's virtual. And guess what? We're all getting more comfortable now that we have had over 40 weeks, almost a year, to get used to this idea of remote learning. Maybe we have kids that are in remote learning. Maybe you're a student in other areas of learning yourself, or you've had to attend a medical meeting, or you've had to attend something else. Chances are pretty good you made your way in here without a whole lot of effort and issue to be successful to get online. Now, we're not going to make you use your camera on day one, but we're going to encourage you to, because again, we want to develop that sense of confidence that you're okay getting in front of a camera and having a conversation. I do it every single day. So I've developed a comfort with that. And I just want to make sure that you are developing a comfort level with that as well. You will get some, it'll feel like school because you'll get some assignments, you'll get some work, but hopefully it's done in a way that you don't feel like it's a schoolwork that is just going to lead to a big test. Oh, but wait, there may be a big test at the end. Just kidding. It's not definitely the objective of this. The objective is that you're building these skills, and there's no greater sense of satisfaction in completing the task that we're creating through this boot camp than to see that you have you've sharpened your skills, you've developed that sense of muscle, so to speak, for the speaking of the manufacturing language, and you will be confident to sit in front of an employer in a Zoom environment, up to and including we'll spend some time developing a LinkedIn profile or to develop a profile on Indeed.com so that you are able to engage with an employer in a way that's expected today and a way that you're confident in building. So that's a part of the assignment nature of this as well. I will hold an office hour. So that what that means is that, when we're in class or in the boot camp, so to speak, we'll try to make lots of time for discussion and questions because that's what's important out of this is getting on the same page. But, if there is a need, if something comes to mind, you're trying to figure something out before the next morning start of activities, hey, I'm going to make myself available to you. And I intend to continue that as well. You're going to receive a very comprehensive digital binder of information. I mean, obviously, I can't give you a real binder, but I'm going to give you something better because, a real binder kind of is dated when we hand it to you because the copies that we make are good for that day, but they're not necessarily able to be updated in the future once we kind of move on with our own lives. Well, a digital binder allows those resources to be updated constantly. And that's going to be my pledge and my vigilance in this is to keep those resources updated. You'll continue to have access to those resources because you'll take the binder with you. If you need something, we'll be there to provide you with something in the form of material or equipment or what have you. And you'll know what's expected before Monday as we get started. So we'll work towards that to make sure that you're ready. And part of your work readiness is to provide you with anything that we think you need. So our dates for this boot camp as we get started are going to start Monday morning. We're going to start at 7:30 in the morning and we're going to go until 3 in the afternoon. And, really, again, the idea here is that, it's 8 hours a day. It kind of mimics the workday. And, some employers are really great at providing alternative work schedules. There are some employers that give you a 4-10 work schedule, meaning 4 days working 10 hours a day, and you get an alternate day off, which means you kind of have a 3-day weekend on a routine basis. Now, I don't know too many jobs that really allow for that, especially if you've been coming from shift industries where, you might have a day off in the middle of the week on a Wednesday. Manufacturing really provides that sense of regularity and a lot of fun. And we're going to practice that regularity in our approach to Monday through Friday next week, 7:30 to 3. And we're going to get online and we're going to get moving and we're going to be motivated to learn as much as we possibly can to build your confidence. So I have pretty much said everything I think I intended to say. Liz, what did I miss?
It was very comprehensive, and just like John said, I'll go, I think, to this next slide right here. If you have any issues in terms of you don't have a computer or something that you need access to, because you will need access to the internet and a computer, please email me or give me a call or text at this phone number and email. I will send this slide out, a copy of the recording, and my contact information to you over email as soon as we end this call. So you'll have access to all of this information. If you have
And
not done, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, sorry to step on you there, Liz, but I will say that I really am appreciating that you put up further education opportunities, not because I work for Butte, as much as it's to really help you understand that there are opportunities out there. What we're trying to do with this boot camp is make a chance for you to sit down with an employer now and get to work. But remember that in the long term, many of these employers are very motivated to continue your education at Butte, at Shasta, and really give you more and more comprehensive training and education, up to and including the pursuit of an associate's degree in areas like manufacturing and welding, drafting technology, computer applications. So there's lots of things that Butte and Shasta can provide for you. Great programs to consider. Butte's training place and Shasta Business Center they're parts of the college organizations, and they're really designed that you working with your employer will be potentially sending you to more training and more skill building beyond what this boot camp is going to do as you are furthering your career in manufacturing. So, I can't speak enough to the opportunities that manufacturing can provide: the year-round work, the steady work, the consistent schedule, the opportunity to work with a roof over your head, and the chance to learn and build more skills right here.
Yep, absolutely. If you have not done so already, make sure that you are signed up for the boot camp itself, and that information will also come through. In addition to all of these educational resources, Grow Manufacturing works with the employers one-on-one. So we know what great need there is to fill these entry-level positions. And just like John said, they want to keep you in the family and grow you on into higher level positions. So this isn't, you're going to work here for 3 months. I guess you could if you wanted to, but the opportunity of a lifelong career is really there, especially in our Northern California community.
Absolutely.
One last thing I want to mention before I let you go is we will give you access to AFWD, which is Alliance for Workforce Development, and you can get a one-on-one person to go in depth into your resume and make sure that it's up to par before you start putting it out to all the employers. So, and that is totally free, and it's just another connection that you're going to get by going through this course.
For sure. For sure. Now, we've done a lot of talking. My hope is that you're not giving me an A+ by not asking questions, to thinking that somehow I covered everything. So please open up your mic or get in the chat window, ask a question if something comes to mind.
Yeah, you can put a question in the chat, or if you raise your hand, I can open up your mic so that you can speak with us. So we'll hold on for a few seconds here. And if anything comes to mind afterwards, we are also available.
For sure. And, again, the hope is that we get to learn, through getting to know each other in this boot camp, what brought you here, what brought you in. And some in our webinar this morning, we had a attendee who said, well, I already have a degree. How's this boot camp going to work for me? So the way I like to look at a question like that is that we really don't have a particular background that we're looking for. Again, we're looking at giving you a background that you may not have or may never have considered, coming from whatever industry or whatever job environment you may have come from, that there is a job in manufacturing that's waiting for you. There is an opportunity here. So whether we're already degreed professionals, we're all professionals in one form or another in our pursuit of a great career opportunity in manufacturing. And like I said, can't say enough for it. It certainly has done wonders for my career overall, and I'm happy to share what I know with you on that. And like I said, I'm not that good, so give me another chance. Ask a question.
I think you got an A+. We didn't have any questions come through. So like we said,
Maybe
please
so.
don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you absolutely so much for your time this afternoon. We know it takes a lot to put a half an hour out of your day and give your attention to us. So we're incredibly thankful for that.
Okay, so we did get a question. Is the first day going to teach us how to respond to you too? Yeah, so, great question. So when you say respond, I'm going to answer that in a couple of different ways. First of all, the idea of formal or, is it formal language in the way that we do? Not really. It's going to be very informal and hopefully good back and forth conversation. But the idea of what we're going to, teach you is that through at least getting on the same page with the words, the glossary of words and acronyms that are in any industry, that we get a chance and a way to be able to communicate together. So I'm hoping that kind of answers your question. If it didn't, please follow up and give me an idea of what you're asking. Did I answer your question? Maybe that's a better way to ask you. I'm hoping so. Computer illiterate, takes me a long time to answer you back. No, that's okay. So, part of this, the hope is that whatever device you're using, if you can, even now, if you can, connect by way of your voice and voice communication, that's going to be a very important way to do it. So I'm going to encourage us not to say illiterate. I'm going to say you're just not skilled in it. Didn't use it every day, but this is a chance for you to build that skill. Hopefully that makes sense. Because I think what you're talking about is how fast do I type? And look at these hands. These hands don't type very fast, that's for sure. Any other questions or thoughts? Okay, perfect, great. Well, you're welcome, Jared. Appreciate you asking the question and appreciate that you're here. So we look forward to seeing you on Monday.
Thank you for your time, everyone. I'll be sending follow-up information through your email.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, Liz.
Bye.